You might be making a serious mistake during communion without even realizing it. And worse, you might be receiving Jesus in an unworthy manner, without knowing that you are offending God. The Eucharist is the center of our faith, but many Catholics, due to lack of knowledge or habit, end up making mistakes in important details. In this video, I'll show you the most common mistakes that happen during communion, and how to avoid them. Some are so serious that they can even prevent you from receiving the Eucharist. Stay until the end, because this is one of the most important pieces of information for any Catholic who wishes to receive Jesus with dignity. And share this video with other people in your family or your church group, so that more Catholics can learn and not make these mistakes. The Eucharist is not just a symbol. We Catholics believe that at Holy Mass the bread and wine truly become the body and blood of Christ. This is a mystery of faith taught by Jesus himself, when he said, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever, and the bread that I will give is my flesh for the life of the world." If we believe this, we need to approach communion with respect and reverence. We are not receiving just a piece of bread, but Christ himself. Communion is the most sacred moment of the Mass, and the way we receive it reveals how much we truly believe in the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. Therefore, any mistake at this moment is not something small or irrelevant. When we approach the altar, we must be aware of what we are about to do. It is a real encounter with Christ, and if we are not prepared, we may even be committing a grave sin. Next, I'll show you the most common mistakes that many Catholics make without knowing. Pay attention, because maybe you've already made one of them. Many Catholics make serious mistakes during communion without even realizing it. Some of these mistakes can even invalidate the reception of the Eucharist or make the act a sin. Now let's talk about the most common mistakes and what the Church teaches about each of them. Receiving communion in a state of mortal sin. This is, without a doubt, one of the most serious mistakes. Those who are in mortal sin cannot receive the Eucharist without first going to confession. St. Paul already warned us about this when he said, "Therefore, whoever eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner will be guilty of sinning against the body and blood of the Lord." If a person receives communion without being in a state of grace, not only do they not receive the fruits of the Eucharist, but they also commit a sacrilege. Chewing gum or eating before Mass. The Church establishes that we must observe a Eucharistic fast of at least 1 hour before receiving communion. This means that we cannot eat or drink anything other than water during this period. Unfortunately, many people arrive at Mass chewing gum or even eating before receiving communion, without knowing that this disrespects this rule. Not showing proper reverence. When approaching the altar, it is necessary to show respect and adoration to Jesus in the Eucharist. The correct thing to do is to bow deeply or, if possible, genuflect before receiving communion. But many Catholics walk straight past as if they were just picking up something ordinary, without any sign of reverence. Receiving communion carelessly. The Eucharist should be received with devotion and care. Some people take the host as if they were receiving any object without looking at it, without a conscious amen, and even without paying attention to the moment. Communion should be done with respect, whether on the tongue or in the hand, but always with attention and piety. Not consuming the host immediately. This mistake is very serious, and unfortunately, happens more than you might think. The Church teaches that the consecrated host must be consumed immediately in front of the priest or minister who gave it. We should never walk away with the Eucharist in our hand, as this opens the door to abuses, profanations, or even accidents. Talking or getting distracted right after communion. The moment after communion is one of intimacy with Christ. It is time to give thanks, have a moment of silent prayer, and be recollected in communion with God. However, many people return to the pew and immediately start talking, checking their phones, or even leaving the church without even remembering what just happened. Communion doesn't end when we receive the host, but rather when we take time to unite ourselves with Christ in prayer. These are some of the most common mistakes that many Catholics make unknowingly. Next, we'll talk about how to properly prepare to receive the Eucharist and experience this moment in a truly worthy and transformative way. Now that you know the most common mistakes during communion, it's essential to understand how to prepare correctly for this sacred moment. The first thing is regular confession. If we have committed a grave sin, we must go to confession before receiving the Eucharist. But even without mortal sins, frequent confession helps us to have a purer soul, ready for this encounter with Christ. Another essential point is the Eucharistic fast, which must be respected. This small sacrifice helps us remember that we are preparing for something extraordinary, not an ordinary meal. In addition, it's important to have an attitude of respect and devotion. This includes approaching the altar with reverence, responding "Amen" consciously and attentively, and consuming the host immediately. No distractions or rushing. This is the moment to unite with Christ. Finally, after receiving communion, take a few minutes to give thanks in silence. It's a unique moment of intimacy with Jesus. Don't run out of church or start talking. Talk to him, give thanks. Ask for strength to live according to his will. Next, we'll close with an important call for more Catholics to learn about communion and stop making these mistakes. Now that you know the most common mistakes and how to receive the Eucharist in a worthy manner, tell me in the comments. Have you ever seen anyone make these mistakes? Which one do you think is the most serious? Share this video with your friends, your family, and with the people in your church group. Many Catholics make these mistakes without knowing, and this information can help many people approach Jesus with more respect and love. If you like this content, go ahead and like it and subscribe to the channel to receive more videos like this. And remember, communion is the most sacred moment of our faith. Live it with all the devotion he deserves. Do you want to understand the prophecies shaping the future of the world? In the ebook Catholic Prophecies, The Future of the World Revealed, you'll uncover powerful messages from the Bible, saints, and Marian apparitions. Most importantly, you'll see how they connect to the times we are living in. Don't be left in the dark. Get your copy now. The link is in the description and pinned comment.